we will focus on conflict. We are affected, and in fact, I presume that we all had been through with this and are experiencing this even probably today, tomorrow, and in the past. You know, psychologists only identify, organize them, and put label on them, and yet all of us are in the middle of it. Like what I said is, we all experience it. You know, conflict. Conflict usually happen when there are two opposing forces within. That reminds me of what Paul says in the book of Romans when he said, "Who could? What a wretched man am I! The thing that I want to do, I do not do, and the thing that I don't suppose to do, I do." So we are talking about conflict inside us. It's a psychological conflict that involves choices. This will cause stress, lead to anxiety, and even serious problem. A lot of times, this will make people have regrets, and we all have to face this almost every day. Choices, because in this conflict, we have to make choices. Let me share to you a story. Anyway, this is going to be a short class tonight. As a fable about a horse died of hunger and thirst in the middle of fresh green hay or grass and cold water. There is a horse tied in the middle of the field who was both hungry and thirsty. So the caretaker brought a pail of cold water, and on the other pail, the green, newly cut grass. So when the caretaker brought this before the horse was both hungry and thirsty, cannot decide which one to take first, to eat the grass or to drink the water. He's been struggling with that. What to do first? Grass, water. And finally, the horse gave up its last breath. The horse died in the middle of, of cold water and green grass because the horse cannot decide which to take first. That might be simplistic, a little feeble like that, but it shows how critical is it to make and exercise our choices. Okay, conflict. As psychologists have identified, there are at least four of them that we're going to cover tonight. The first one is the so-called approach conflict. Okay, before I go further, I would appreciate if some of you uh, can participate. Like you can give your own example, cite your own example, whether your experience that is is relevant to these four different conflicts that I'm going to talk about. Okay, we'll start with number one, approach conflict. That means two goals that are positive and attractive. Two goals that are positive and attractive. For instance, you will be asked whether you like to go to the beach, well, that's one goal, or to go shopping at Mall of Asia. Both are positive. That's why it is called approach conflict. I presume we all has been through this, right? We are presented with two good and positive options. The only thing is we have to exercise our choice. If we take one, we will miss the other. If we'll take the other, we will miss one, because we cannot do both. Sometimes we even have little regret. Since both are attractive, like the beach or Mall of Asia, we have to decide. If you decide to go to the Mall of Asia, you would probably miss also enjoying the surf, the beach, the sun, and the ambience of the place. But if you go also to the beach, you might miss what it is like to be in an exciting place where there are so many shops, stores, and people, groceries, um, I would say department stores, place to eat, entertainment centers, movies. But what I'm saying is both are attractive. Mall of Asia or beach. That is what you call approach conflict. The second conflict is called the avoidance and avoidance conflict. Means two goals that we have to do that are both negative. Like, for instance, going to a dentist, have your tooth extracted, bubunutan kayo ng ngipin, that's negative. I don't meet anybody yet who said, "Oh, that's so exciting. I love to have my tooth pulled. Gustong-gusto ko yan. Nabubunutin ang ngipin ko." Wala pa. So that's a negative, okay? That's why it's called avoidance and avoidance conflict. On the other hand, it is dealing with a toothache. Dealing with a toothache. Still, it's negative, okay? Kung ayaw nating tanggalin ang ngipin natin, that means we are going to have perennial, we are going to have a regular struggle with that toothache. Yung mayroon ng butas ang ating ngipin. The tooth is already decaying, that if our particle accidentally goes into that hole, there's so much pain. Okay? Dealing with the toothaches is a negative goal also. Okay? You have no choice but you have to decide between the two. Kung ayaw nating bunutin ang ngipin, that means we'll endure the pain of the tooth decay. But if we want that tooth to be extracted, mawawala yung pain. But the process itself of having that tooth pulled is an excruciating experience. So, yun tinatawag na avoidance and avoidance conflict. Maraming cases na ganun ang ating hinaharap. Yeah. Maraming example that you can come up with. Just like taking a long exam is considered avoidance. And the possibility of failing is another avoidance goal. conflict. Or if you don't take the exam, you will face the consequence of failing your course. So both are negative. Ang daming example na makikita natin. Itong pangatlo is called avoidance approach or approach avoidance. Na this is probably the most difficult of all the conflicts. Some like itong avoidance at saka approach or approach avoidance. Yung ulitin ko, pag sabing approach positive yan, ang avoidance negative. Gaya ng chocolate is good, you know, like you have a natural craving. It's good to eat chocolate. It's nice. You know, it's delicious. Chocolate is delicious, but it is fattening. Okay? A simple example like that. Chocolate is delicious, but it is fattening and may cause diabetes. Or if you have already a high blood, you already have a high level of sugar. That's the negative effect. That means itong positive niya, dahil masarap, pero ang kanyang negative, itong kanyang avoidance, approach avoidance is, it is fattening and it will shoot up our sugar level. Yun ang mas mahirap. Gaya ng, for example, kadaming example, gaya ng somebody who is so in love at 18 years old, he would like to get married. That's the natural desire. That is an approach. But on the other hand, he doesn't have a job. It's the financial difficulties. How can he support his new bride and family? You know, so that's an approach avoidance. It contains both positive and negative. Most of the time, dyan ang ating struggle talaga. Even in just in our lives as Christians that we have to deal with, like it's we have that natural urge. If you had been drinking in the past before you became a Christian, like me, okay, I drink. When I was in high school, of course, we have that tuba, but it's something that to me it's something I like doing. But now that I'm a Christian, I know it is going to destroy the temple of the Holy Spirit, which is my body. Okay, that is also an approach avoidance. Though I like it, I desire for it, but at the same time, it's negative because it will alienate me from the Lord. It will not. It's destroying the temple, which is my body. Or somebody just like I said, you can really participate because you can have your own example and experience. Like, wow, it's desirable to have lots of money, okay? And the opportunity is it involves cheating in order to make so much gain. From the emotional perspective, that's an approach. That's desirable. But there's a negative, and thank God that there's a negative there. There's a avoidance. We know that it is sinful before the Lord. Ill gain is sinful. Okay? So the approach is gain, profit, making a lot of money, but in a wrong way. Then the avoidance is, it is sinful to God to have an ill-gotten wealth. And usually if we read the verse, what shall it profit for a man he begins the whole world and lost his own soul. So most of the time, we are struggling with this. We are struggling with this as Christians. Even Paul struggled with this. So that's called approach avoidance. Itong pang-apat, which may be a little technical and complicated, but anyway, I'll just present it to you. Okay? Ito na double approach and double avoidance. For instance, it's desirable to be a doctor, but its downside, its avoidance is it's very expensive. Okay, your son or daughter might like to take medicine. That's approach, but the avoidance there is it is so costly. And since this is double avoidance and double approach, maybe your daughter will just settle to be a beautician. It's also okay. Can be or a secretary. It can be also an approach, but there's a negative. The negative is you will make less money as a secretary compared to a doctor. Okay, so that's a double avoidance. That may sound technical, but I'm just sharing it to you tonight. And the third one, though, is the most common one. And after this, I'll touch a little bit about the defense mechanism, also the complex, okay? Because next week, I will present to you the 10 defense mechanisms that started with Sigmund Freud and then continued by his daughter, Anna Freud. Very important. We are still using this today. We're still dealing with this today to keep our sanity, okay? So, are there any questions with the approach avoidance before I will touch a little bit as an introduction for the next week lesson? Brother John, are there any clarification or question about the conflicts, the approach, the avoidance, the approach avoidance, and then the double approach and the double avoidance? Mayroon bang tanong?
Meron ba?
Naintindihan ba? Ganito pala. Give me an example of yours. Kayo dyan na mga kapatid ko, okay? Can you please share your own example? We'll focus on the sabihin natin itong approach, okay? Yung puro positive. Kaya yung sinabi ko, you're given the option to go to the mall, to Mall of Asia, or to the beach. Nangyayari naman sa inyo yun? Dalawang positive na options? Nangyari na?
Okay.
Sino ba makapag-share dyan?
So, we'll go by...
I would appreciate that upang ma-determine ko din kung anong tawag niyo, nag-gets ba ninyo if you have internalized what I have been sharing tonight. Okay. Do you have
volunteer
na gano'n na puro positive, puro approach? Yan kasi ang word na gamit sa psychology, approach. Double approach. Parang gaya ng milk and honey.
The Romel.
Mall at saka beach. Going to Dreamland and Tagaytay. Okay. Hindi ba? Puro yun. Approach yun.
Kakain o matutulog.
Yan. Very good. Very good example. You have to choose.
Yes.
You cannot do both. Otherwise you do it one after the other. Very good. Kain at
Next, Brother Ryan, next na screen siya eh. And then si Brother Romel, tapos si Brother June.
Yun, sige. Pakinggan natin ang inyong mga experience at example dito.
Kapatid.
Ano sa'yo?
Bawal.
Approach o avoidance?
Brother John Iscaris.
Hindi ko po naabot yung yung unang bahagi. Naunawaan ko lang yung parang meron kang dalawang option pero you need to choose one, parang ganun po ba?
That's approach and avoidance.
Okay.
Approach. Yun, puro positive yan.
Okay.
Uh,
May katulad po halimbawa rotation ng mga preaching schedule.
Yan.
May tawag, merong sa ibang lugar, mga ganyan po.
Bukas,
okay.
Brad, bukas basketball o
Bukas may basketball, meron pang ministry sa prison, mga ganun.
yan.
Okay. Both are
Approach.
positive. Both
Yes.
are approach. Yeah. Wow. So, kaya sinasabi natin, maraming ginagawa natin araw-araw na gano'n. Yan. So, magmumotorcycle ba o sasakay ng jeepney? So, sasakay ba ng taxi? Yun, approach yan. Pero the avoidance there is, magastos. Costly, di ba? Just even in choosing the mode of your transportation. Wow, pag nasa Manila ako, I like taxi, pero yun ang approach. Pero the avoidance there is, ay mahal. Expensive. So, yun ang approach avoidance. Pero pag approach, pinapapili tayo yung saan pa mag-preach? Sa Salawag o sa Kabit, sa Tagaytay. Very good. So we'll move on yung sa approach. So about the approach avoidance, I want to hear an example from some of you. Do you have any example?
Brother Romel, next. Approach and avoidance. Approach positive. Avoidance negative.
Tungkol po sa kuwan, Brad. Sa paglalaro, kunwari, happy ka ba na mag-attend? O unhappy ka ba dahil ayaw mo sumama? Malungkot ka, tinatamad. Dahil tinatamad ka, unhappy ka. Pero kung sasama ka, happy ka. Parang ganun ba yung Brad? Yun sa paglalaro sa kuwan. Sa ibang mga ganun din po. Ang ginamit ko po din yung happy and unhappy, di ba?
Yeah, yung approach something you desire, na ganado ka, na you like to do it, you desire, yun ang approach. Avoidance, yung bang it gives you some unpleasant feeling, na napilitan ka lang, and then it's not positive for you. Yan.
Pwede ba yung Brad? Pwede ba yung sinabi ko?
Kung naglalaro,
basketball.
Kaya sa paglalaro, hindi ka sumamang maglaro dahil kung ka, hindi ka happy, unhappy. You know?
Yung avoidance doon,
napilitan lang.
ang avoidance doon, sasakit ang muscles. Body pains.
Yan.
Masakit ang muscle.
Body pain.
O na-neglected mo yung dapat mong gawin. Yan. Body pain. So that's correct. That's correct. Yung ganon. Body pain. Approach avoidance. Ano pang ibang example sa approach avoidance? Yung para bang gaya ng sabi ko kanina, you like chocolate, but it is fattening and may cause diabetes. Yun ang avoidance.
Gusto kong mag-basketball pero mapapagod ako.
Yan.
Ano, basketball ba ako? Hindi na. Conflict, nasa conflict.
Conflict.
Yeah. Or
Walking na lang kung di basketball.
Hello, Brad.
hello, Brad.
Cardio.
Okay.
Apo. Bali, dalawa yung ano ko eh. Kasi last two Saturdays dito sa LP Gatchalian ay mayroong basketball. So hindi ako nakasama nung last Saturday o last two Saturdays kasi po Saturdays po yung namin midweek ay ako ang speaker. So sabi ko sa sarili ko kung magbabasketball ako ng morning afternoon ng Saturday din yung devotional, baka mapagod ako. So baka magkaroon to ng conflict doon sa message ko. Siyempre pagod ka. And then tomorrow mayroong basketball na naman dito sa amin sa LP Gatchalian. Malamang pupunta diyan sila Brother Mon. Brother Mon? Brother Argil. So ay Sunday naman. So Saturday tomorrow and then itong Sunday ako yung speaker sa worship. Kaya napapaisip ako doon sa inyong Brad.
May conflict.
Tama sabi ni Sir John na baka mapagod. Pero pupunta pa rin. Pupunta pa rin.
Yeah. So
yes po. Pupunta pa din. Pero parang mas ko na magbabasketball pero hindi ko gaanong papagurin yun sa sarili ko kasi Sunday ako yung magsisermon sa worship.
Okay.
Paano ba yan, Brad?
Tama. Approach something you like. It's desirable to play basketball pero ang kanyang avoidance na ayaw niyong mapapagod dahil kayo
Sunday.
ang sermon at saka Sunday pa. So yun. Kaya we deal things that way. Kung alin ang mas mahalaga. Kung minsan yung bang ayaw sa ating desire sana sa ating kalooban. Wow. Possible. Pero ayaw kong mapagod. Yun na ang avoidance. But what will affect really is our faith. Kung anong mas mahalaga, hindi ba? So, psychology only define the so-called sabihin nating status quo, yun lang label lang dito talaga sa mundong ito, pero there's something that goes beyond than that, and that is our faith. Kung alin ang mas mahalaga. Yan. So yun ang naging avoidance mo dahil mayroon pa kayong gagawin na mas mahalaga. Sana life is simple, no? Na sana isa lang. Sana I just did something nice. Something that I love to do all the time. Na wala na akong isiping iba. Pero it's not as simple as that. Dahil karamihan, mayroon always itong avoidance at saka approach talagang mangyayari. Pipiliin natin. We avoid doing something for something, we avoid doing something good for something better. Yan. So, magandang example. Halimbawa, how about itong avoidance? Can you all cite an example? Yung puro negative? Nangyari na ba sa atin yan? O mayroon ba tayong mga experience na ganyan? Kaya na sabi ko na kaya yung going to the dentist, that's sabihin ko na outright na negative yan para sa avoidance, pero dealing with tooth decay also is another avoidance. So puro negative yan. Pero there are times that we pick one of the negative in order to have wants to have a better condition. Ayaw kong punta ng dentist, pero pipilitin ko upang mawala permanently and finally itong toothache ko. So, mayroon bang kayong experience or example na puro negative? Yan. It's avoidance and avoidance.
Oh, next. Avoidance. Meron ako eh. Kayo
O
muna.
sige,
Kayo muna.
Oh, meron din dalawa. Magkaiba lang. Kaya avoid.
sige pa. Sige.
Di ba?
Kuminsan meron tayong bagong matutuhan.
Si Bradmond. Ganyan na, magaling mo ganyan tanong. Papasa ko na yung one. Sa akin, may halong joke eh.
Pwede. Well, mas maganda yan. Yung humor is one of the
Yung joke eh, avoidance God. Huwag na lang gawin para kuhan. Yung mga joke doon. Yung mga jokes.
oh,
Siguraduhin mo lang natatawa kami ah.
Hindi na ako nakatawa.
tumatawa na ka. Oh.
Ilang po bro ng isang kuhan. Hindi negative. Isang negative lang.
Isang negative lang, bro.
Walang karoon.
Oh. Approach avoidance yan pag isa lang ang negative. Yung pure negative, yun ang avoidance.
At my age, ayoko na mag-washing ng sasakyan.
Okay.
Oo.
That's an avoidance.
Avoidance. Pero kapag hindi ako nag-washing, avoidance naman ay babaho ang sasakyan ko. Dumi.
Saka,
Masisira.
masira or sabi, we have to deal with what people may think. Nasa yung tamad yung tao na ito, marumi yung
Yes.
di man maghugas. Di ba?
Tamad. Tamad.
So, that's very good. Very good.
Balik naman, di naman pagod.
Yung ano po, Brad, yung gusto mong kumain pero tamad kang magluto, pwede ba yung ganun?
Kung yun, approach avoidance siya. Kasi
Approach
you like to eat,
avoidance.
that's positive. Pero tamad kang
Libre ka na
magluto.
lang, Brad. Ayaw mo magluto.
Maganda yan na illustration sa approach avoidance. That's good.
Pagka na, Brad, busog ka na tapos gusto mo pang kumain.
Pa-deliver.
Busog ka na.
Abuso na yan.
Abuso na ba?
Yeah, his
Abuso na.
approach avoidance
Negative.
dahil
Negative yun, di ba? Negative.
yeah, it's good to be busog. We like to eat. But if it will cause you
Tataas
to
ang
have
cholesterol mo.
stomach ache,
Gluttony.
it's negative. So it's approach avoidance. Parang lang yan na, I like chocolate but it is fattening. I like to eat food but if overeating can also cause stomach ache, vomiting even. So, yun ang negative. Alam mo, balik tayo. How about negative and negative? Avoidance and avoidance. How about going out in the dark? Yeah, is that avoidance? Yes, it is.
Huwag kang gumawa para hindi matapos.
Ano, Brad?
Huwag kang gumawa huwag kang gumawa sa bahay. Para kung po mangyari doon, hindi ka makakatapos ng iyong trabaho. Siyempre, kung hindi, ano ba yun? Parang hindi ka magtatrabaho sa loob ng bahay,
So, alam ba, bakit kayo hindi magtatrabaho? Anong nasa damdamin ninyo na hindi kayo magtatrabaho? What
Ayun,
makes you not work?
ayun na. Pag sinabi mong parang hindi matapos yung gagawin mo, parang wala ka lang magawa, parang ganon. Hindi. Ibig sabihin ko, parang
Tinatamad kayo na magtrabaho.
wala kang
Tinatamad.
accomplishment. Parang ganon. Wala kang nagawa, wala kang natapos, wala kang... Dahil ang rason, yun, katamaran siguro po.
Tinatamad kayo, that's avoidance. Yeah, tamad. Tapos, ang another avoidance is dahil tinatamad kayo, walang nangyayari, walang kita, walang pera dahil ayaw magtrabaho. Puro yan. Yeah, that is avoidance. Yeah.
Kaya magtrabaho, batugan na yun, Brad.
Ano, Brad?
Kasi makakabatugan. Wala makakain siya eh. Kapag ayaw magtrabaho, di ba? Those who do not work will not eat. Wala sa makakain.
In that,
Brad, ganyan po yung sa preaching. Pag wala kang ginawa, hindi ka nag-aral, hindi ka nag-preach, ano ba doon? Bigla ko lang ka ba sa Diyos? Parang ganon?
okay. Babalik tayo kasi there's an emotion. Ito sa psychology, there's an emotion involved. Halimbawa, yung karamihan ng mga tao na I don't like to work, it's what they feel. It's what they feel. Yun ang kanilang mood. So, having that in consideration, parang kuan yan, approach. Kasi I like, this is what I feel, ayaw kong magtrabaho. So, sa kanya, positive yan. Pero nagiging negative dahil gugutumin siya. Okay. So,
Parang may ganun din pong dumarating sa ano na parang tatamarin ka, parang hindi ka motivated, parang may ganong feeling na parang hindi pa time, parang
Wala sa kondisyon.
Tamang tempo.
Walang sa kondisyon.
Monday sickness.
Walang sa tulog.
Yes, that's a good point. Yung sabing motivation kasi ito kasing approach something to do with what we like. Itong like natin ba? Yan ang gusto ko, yan approach yan. Yung ayaw ko, yun ang avoidance. Yeah. So, kung it may sound like katamaran, pero that's what I like. That's an approach. Ayaw kong maligo. Gusto ko lang matulog. That's for him, that's approach. Ayaw kong mag-aral. Tapos bukas na ang exam. So, naging approach avoidance yan. Ayaw kong mag-aral, pero takot ako na mabagsak. Takot ako na that I will fail. So, yun ang, kaya may conflict. There is a war inside us. There's a war going on inside us na a lot of times it will cause stress, and stress leads to anxiety, and anxiety lead to depression. Yeah. In fact, some people will even be mentally disturbed with that because of the conflict. It will lead to the so-called neurosis, ibang maroon ng mental struggle or mental problem. Pag may conflict, mayroong digmaan, mayroong war inside. So it's good to exercise the choice quick and to choose the better choice, even if you don't feel like doing it. Yeah. So yan. Pero yun lang, pagsundin ko ang sarili ko. Ayaw kong gagawin yung pag-study ko. Halimbawa, I would like to preach Sunday, pero hindi ako mag-aral ngayon. So, naging approach avoidance. Pupunta tayo muli, balik sa approach, avoidance. Na para ba yung mayroon pa ba? Gaya ni
Correct
Brother
me if
Richard.
I'm po. Brad.
Ano?
Correct
Brother?
me if I'm po na dito po sa example, negative 'di ba po yung avoidance?
Opo.
For example, katulad yung itong nag-pandemic. Noong nag-pandemic, ang tao gusto niyang lumabas, bumili, magtrabaho. Pero nagiging negative yung kanyang kaisipan kasi baka mahuli siya or bawal. Pwede ba yung ganun, Brad? 'Di ba puro negative yung pwedeng mangyari sa kanya? Kasi pandemic, bawal, 'di ba? Opo.
May mga restriction
Yes.
na
Yes
diba,
po.
kailangan meron kang mask o meron. Yeah, okay, I remember now. There was even a time na hindi tayo basta-basta makakalabas. Mayroong iwan ko dyan sa Manila, pero dito sa Dumaguete, we can only go out once a week or twice a week. So, mayroon kami special card. The feeling was just I cannot even believe it na parang nawala ang freedom natin sa gano'n.
So parang puro negative na po kasi yung magiging kaisipan kasi gusto mong magtrabaho, bumili sa ganyan. Parang nag-aalala ka kasi nga sa halip na positibo ka, nagiging negative ka.
Puro negative. Kasi
yeah.
Kasi ang nangyari, kahit you like to go out, pero takot ka rin maghawa, hindi ba? Mahawa sa sakit. Napansin ko nga dyan.
Pero Brad,
alam mo
pero Brad, sa paningin ko, hindi negative yan.
Yung
ganun na may restriction, hindi ka makabili. Kasi uncontrollable situation yan eh. May mga bagay na hindi mo gusto mo nga mabili pero hindi ka pwede dahil may restriction, hulihin ka. Pero kung walang balakid siguro, may sabihin natin, talagang kaya mo gawin yun. Kaya yan, may uncontrollable situation. Hindi katulad ng sample kanina ni Brother John na ayaw mo maglinis ng sasakyan. Wala makokontrol sa'yo. Kagustuhan mo talaga yun.
Parang,
ayaw mo magkuhan.
Yeah, I understand. Dahil during the pandemic, parang
gusto rin mo muna hindi.
Nawawalan tayo of something we partially lost is the right to choose. Parang wala tayong choice.
Yun, parang ganon. Wala tayong right
to choose. Parang, totoo. That's good that you have observed that. Parang medyo artificial na situation yung sa pandemic. Parang nawala ang ating full expression of our freedom. Yeah. That's true. So under normal condition,
negative yun.
Yan. So wala tayong kuan doon kasi we are mandated by the law or
wala kang choice
doon.
We can put it this way. During the pandemic, ayoko sanang mag-grocery. Baka mahawa ako eh.
Yeah.
Diba?
That's
avoidance.
Yeah.
Pero pag hindi naman ako nag-grocery, gugutumin naman ako.
Avoidance pa din.
Avoidance.
Ayaw mo magutom. Yeah. That's a very good perspective there. Yeah. Dahil matakot tayong mahawa. By the way, this is just an interjection. Nung kami dito sa Negros, nung panahon na pumunta ako ng Cavite, wala na kaming mask dito sa church. Pero napansin ko dyan, may mga mask pa kayo. Di ba? So, I want to confirm this if this is accurate. Kasi nung nag-preach ako dyan, tinanggal ko yung mask ko. Pero I don't know how does it make you all feel doon sa Salawag. Kasi nakamask kayo lahat. Ito po sabi ko, ayaw kong mag-mask na magsasalita. Ano ba yun, Brad? Was that, did it cause you a little, did it bother some of you?
Hindi naman, nakamask pa rin kami. Kahit may
Okay.
virus ka, nakamas naman kami.
O, akala ko na bothered kayo kasi. Dito kasi wala ng
Even
mask.
now, bro, in the chapel, we still wear mask. Pero, outside, optional na.
Saka yung iba yata nakapag-vaccine na eh. So, paano, mayroon ng defense, first defense.
Mayroon defense. Kaya, pag i-apply yun sa avoidance na gusto kong tanggalin ang mask ko. Yan. I don't like the mask in my mouth. Avoidance. Pero, ang resulta din, I have to wear that so that the brethren would feel more comfortable. Mayroon akong mask. So, puro negative ang resulta. Anyway, patuloy tayo. Thanks for the examples. And you can go on thinking about that, reflecting in your own life, making some personal analysis of the things we choose every day, the things that we love to do, and then the things that we avoid, Malaman natin yan. Anyway, I'll give briefly kung anong gagawin Friday. I'm sorry. I cannot have a class Friday because I'm going to Leyte. We are building a chapel at Bato Leyte, and then I'll be speaking on the 70th anniversary of the church we planted in Baybay Leyte. It's very easy to remember that because that happened simultaneously with the MacArthur landing in Leyte. So I'm sorry I cannot be here or in the class next Friday. Pero anyway, gusto ko nang in advance those Fridays from now na we are going to deal with or study about defense mechanism. Okay? Maybe we have heard about this already. Right? Yung defense mechanism. Gaya ng
Mga dahilan.
Oh, yan. Kailangan natin yan dahil to keep our sanity. Halimbawa, itong isa yung rationalization. I-rationalize natin. Halimbawa, gusto natin ang mangga. Pero hindi natin maabot. Inaakyat na natin pero the branch is kind of slim that we are afraid that it's going to break if we continue climbing. Kaya dahil hindi natin makuha ang mangga, sabihin natin, anyway, that mango is sour. We make reason. Or in our single days, we really like a girl, a lady, But the lady seems not to be interested in us. Okay? So to keep my so-called ego intact, because that ego is very important. The super ego, according to Freud, will comfort us, will say, walang problem, okay lang, mabuti nga na hindi ka pinansin sa babaeng yun dahil yun, worldly yun. Dahil yun siya, yung masungit. So we find excuses and explanation in order to have to keep our sanity intact. So yung sour grape rationalization. Sinasabi na sour grape dahil it's based on the fable according to Sigmund Freud, yung bang parang in the Greek mythology na the fox would really like to eat those sweet ripe grapes, but the fox cannot reach them. The fox just keep jumping and jumping and cannot reach them. So the fox when they said, "Oh, anyway, those grapes are sour." Okay, maasim yun. So we do a lot of this kind of things. We even have regression. We have uh, the uh, regression, like we go back to our so-called younger days in order to cope with the present. So maraming ganun. So pag-aralan natin yan. Itong defense mechanism, may 10. At saka, if we still have time, we'll cover the complex. If you know, kanina, conflict yon. CONFLICT. Sa next nating meeting, we hope to cover also complex. COMPLEX. Gaya ng Oedipus complex, Electra complex. Have you heard, narinig naman ito, Brother John, itong Oedipus complex?
Yes.
Okay. At Electra complex, very important dahil we deal with those kind of things in our I would say developmental years when we were infant, toddler, ganyan. So most of these are the theory of Sigmund Freud. Okay? Marami nga tayong mga psychologists pero we cannot dismiss this genius. He is really a genius. A lot of his theory are so relevant. Itong defense mechanism ay sa kanya. Mayroon ngang tinatawag na sublimation. Okay? Itong sublimation, the word sublime, na gaya ng isang tao na inferior siya, or he is angry, or he has feeling of being aggressive. Pero itong sublimation, he released it by painting, sa kanyang drawing, o he released it by his music. Kaya marami na mga musician that have this kind of struggles, na that they end up converting those negative emotions into very positive, making songs, making paintings. These are very interesting kasi kung minsan mag-reflect tayo sa ating sarili, why do I focus on the thing I'm doing now? Why do I spend more time on the thing I'm doing now? Ano ba kaya ang aking earlier feeling about this? So, ganyan. So, very interesting studies, defense mechanism. Okay? So, yun lang ang aking kunting preview about complex, about...
Kanina, Brad, na-mention mo si San Pablo. Kanina na-mention mo si San Pablo.
Yes.
The things that I do, I cannot do. But the things I will not do, I will do. Because of sin. Because of sin. Ito ba magiging defense mechanism ni San Pablo para hindi niya magawa ang kalooban ng Diyos? Dahil sa sin? Pwede ba yung maging defense mechanism?
Magiging assignment nating dalawa at sa lahat yan. Titingnan natin ulit yung writing to Paul, whether it falls on this. Pero ang sinasite ko doon na point na yung ganun tayo ba, na yung gusto nating gawin, o ang dapat sa nating gawin, hindi natin ginawa. At yung mga bagay na hindi sana natin dapat gawin, ginagawa natin. Yan.
That's conflict.
Yan, conflict yan. So, that's a good question there, which I cannot answer you tonight until I will go back and read again po. Kung kasalanan ba yun, whether itong mga conflicts or defense mechanism is wrong, or they are just, sabihin natin, identifying, labeling, binigyan ng pangalan, at mas organize yung mga bagay nasa Bible na parang ginawa nilang simple and easy to follow. Yan naman ang psychology. Sabi ko nga, kadaming psychology sa Bible. Ang dami talaga. One of that, yung sinabi niya po. Karami talaga. Itong psychology, itong mga theory ngayon, they are just defining, they are just identifying, they are enumerating them. Yeah. So, So next time, sabi ko nga, it will be all our assignments. In fact, that's a good challenge there. Let's take a look on that passage sa Romans, okay? Brother John, is that,
Okay.
do you have that on top of your mind kung anong chapter yun sa Romans? Is that in chapter 6? Not maybe chapter 7, chapter 8?
Yeah, maybe somewhere there.
Somewhere there.